And
Yes.
guys, don't ask me how did I convince my boss to come on and have a podcast.
Agapsinawa tozak bemejuda da broinawa.
Okay.
Emma وكو كرد باسێکی شەڕێکی ناخۆش فترێکی ناخۆشی شەڕی براکوژیرەکەین کە شتێک بوو هەتا ئەمڕۆ تەسیری هەیە
خۆمانەوە مشکلەمان توش بوو ئێستا کە بۆ خۆی خەڵکی مووسڵە ئەمنش خەڵکی لێرەمە
هەر ڕۆژ ئەو شتێک دەبینم.
Even now when I'm working with spacecraft as a COO, we changed the whole structure. Why would we change the structure? Was based on the environment of that company. We changed that based on to make the company better and with better outcome at the end. So it's when you make a decision, it will be lots of things will be affected in the company.
So we are interested in politics. Not all of us, I'm sure. There are some people who are interested in politics and others that they don't care, or maybe they got bored of the same news that they hear every day. But today we want to dig deep inside and see how politics affect our society mostly. And we're very excited and thrilled for this episode specifically because we're having our very first guest for Ayun Podcast. Welcome,
Mr. Kardo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure having you here. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from your experience and your knowledge since it's been, I think, a very long time that you're in not just politics, even in civil engineer and a lot of other fields, I believe.
Yes, it's my pleasure as well.
Thank you
for having me as a first guest.
Our first guest.
A very unique episode with me, I'm sure.
So I would like to actually start with who is Kardo and tell us a brief about yourself.
Sure. Kardo changed his career a lot. I would say I'll start like that straight away. I studied civil engineer and I worked as a civil engineer for more than 2 years and then I just decided this is not my thing, I would say, and then I changed it to politics. I got involved in some political positions in especially in Baghdad, which is, I would say, when you talk about politics in Iraq and in Kurdistan, you should mention Baghdad, which is most of the decision happens there. And I had the opportunity to do my master's. I chose project management, and the reason I did project management, not construction management, the reason was like I like management in general, and specifically those positions that I've got, there was lots of management involved, even in civil engineering, and after that in office-based positions. I did masters in project management.
I believe project management exists in any kind of sectors, public, private, all kind of sectors.
Definitely, it's in every sectors that you work. There's always a project. There's always something that you start with, and then there's a deadline in everything. And that's the project cycle, the opening and closing, and then there are lots of things involved in the middle.
Most
if we
of
talk
the times,
about it, it's not going to finish this.
Most of the times, it's stuck before closing.
Yeah, exactly. There are lots of. This is the thing. Then that's the most stressful part. Is not opening a project. It's about closing the project. That's the most stressful part, which is.
Yeah.
You don't know, you've planned something, you forecasted the budget, you planned a lot of things to happen, the activities and everything. Sometimes things happens that you haven't planned for, and then suddenly you will struggle with how you're going to close down. Is it because of the lack of budget? Is it because of you having
fluctuations in the market?
Exactly,
Tell me about it.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of things that might affect the project cycle. And also, there's another thing that impacts the project cycle, which is politics.
Oof.
What?
Okay, so
Always comes back to it.
yeah, of course, it's a daily thing.
Yeah, it is.
I've heard that your passion was politics.
Yes,
Why?
definitely.
Why politics?
Why politics? When I was much younger, like when I was a kid, basically, I really wanted to change the world. Basically, that's how it happened. And then I realized, in order to change that, it was just a dream. In order to make changes, you need to be a politician to make the decisions that impacts millions of people. And then I decided to go and study political science, by the way. But at one point, I was like, you don't have to be graduated from political science to become a politician. So you could be anything. You could graduate as an engineer, lawyer, any degrees. You can still be a politician.
I believe most people don't know about this thing. They all think
They
that
know.
really.
They know. Have you seen some of the politicians with 0 degrees أصلا?
True, but
Let's
but-
not go there, but
let's ask
They know.
them: is it all around the world or just here in?
It is all around the world. Some
Yes.
people
For us
they've
degree.
spent some people they've spent their whole life studying the history, and then they become politician because it's basically, if you know about history, it's much better for you to predict lots of things,
true.
because most of the things that it has been happened
It repeated itself.
yeah, exactly, long time ago. A couple of things changed within the, for example, now there's much more technologies got involved in politics, in army, and lots of, in like even war. But at the end, it's history repeating itself.
Yeah,
If you know very well about history, you can be a politician. That's why even in the world, like, they all know you don't have to be you don't have to study political science to become a politician.
True.
You can one of the main ones, I would say, if you study economics,
yeah,
you can be a
Yes,
very good politician as well.
definitely.
And there are lots of sectors that you need to know about in order to become a good politician. It's history, economics, lots of other
Statistics,
things.
I
Exactly.
guess.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
If you studied law, you can be a very good politician as well. Especially to become an MP, you will know
Yeah.
about the constitutions. You will know about the law. You know a lot of things, and you would also know what is lacking in that constitutions while you working as a lawyer. You will know the things that needs to be changed, needs to be updated.
definitely.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Definitely. So for people who don't know how politics works and how many, let's say, sectors or layers there is, what is inside a politic, let's say, building or a sector of politics? What is it? Let's say, how can we understand it? How many types are existing currently?
So it's not about types. It's not about sectors. It's not about anything. Everything is involved in politics.
How, for example, we always hear about the government and politics. What is the difference, for example, between government and politics and parliament?
Yep. So people, when they hear the term of politics, they always think it has to be in parliament or in the government, but it's not like that.
Okay.
We have in our everyday life, we use politics, which is the politics is involved. Why? For example, I'll give you an example. For example, you go and buy a house.
Yeah.
What's involved in that? Negotiation.
Hmm.
Negotiation is one of the most important things. If you are a good negotiator, you'll be a very successful politician. So negotiation, when you do it between you and the landlord or with the real estate agent, you would say, this is my budget, and then you start negotiating on the budget. Both of you will obviously, if you decide on a price, that means it's both of you guys met both of each other's interest. So that's how politics works. You have a goal. You want to buy a house, and then the real estate agent also wants that, to sell the house for you. He wants to make profit, max profit. You want to
By at least price.
At least priced, exactly. So that point, when you guys meet each other's interest, that means you
Negotiation.
guys you've done negotiation, which is that means politics.
So I believe there's let's say, best person to become a politician. I think, in my opinion, I feel like it's a sales representative or a salesman.
Yes, you can say that, but I believe in you can't say only a salesperson can be a good negotiator. For example, you're applying for a job and there's a job interview, and at the end you will meet the HR, and you're trying to convince the HR for your working hours to be less than 8 hours, for example. You don't want to work 5 days a week. You're trying to negotiate. Which is the most important, is the salary.
Yeah.
So that negotiation is basically, again, it's politics. If you are a good negotiator, that means you are a good HR as well. You're trying to convince a newbie in your
Yes.
company with the least amount of salary and most max amount of roles and responsibilities. So that's negotiation. So for me, any sector, any job position in anything, like starting from CEO all the way down, you need to be a good politician to manage that, to manage the client's expectation, which is that the marketing team or the salesperson needs to manage their expectation. That managing expectations also goes to politics.
Definitely.
For example, negotiation is something that, to be a very smart and win a negotiation, you put, for example, 10 requests. These are my terms, 10 things. And the opposite side will say, I have another 10 things. So but in those 10 points that you have made, there's only 1 or 2 points. This is the most important things for you, but you put the rest just for the sake of negotiation. So you'd say, okay, I'll try to compromise 2 of my requests because
Interesting.
of that negotiation. So when you start the opposite side, when you start compromising points, and then you say like, okay, I agree, I'm not going to do this and that and that, but there's always 2 points, the most important thing for you. The opposite side obviously would say, okay, since you have compromised on a couple of points, and we need to compromise as well. So they compromise.
This is what's
So
happening.
they come to the middle ground, you know?
This is what is happening, I think, currently between.
Iran and that's exactly. So maybe I don't know which side, because that's a very deep.
Definitely.
They have their own foreign policies, but maybe there's one point in the whole those 10 things that they are requesting. There's only one thing they want to pass it. They would be like, okay, we agree on your terms. We'll do everything you say, but there's those 3 points we can't. The opposite side, for example, the Iranian side would say, oh yeah, they have already made lots of compromise on those points. That we need to accept those 3. We have to accept those 3. But at the end, there's only one thing they want, but they always get another 2. So that's a negotiation, which is very good to know about. That goes to every single thing that involves negotiation in our daily life between 2 parties, like whatever they want to agree on, there's negotiation, and you have to be smart on dealing with those.
Interesting. Once I had an interview, and in the interview, the HR literally said, "Sell me your CV." In those words, you know.
It happened actually.
Yeah,
It does,
yeah. So today, like, I learned this part from you. Like, you give extra points so you can, you can get through it. But what other things we could say to the people to help them in their daily lives, getting the negotiation in their interest, what else could they do?
So, like, beside the negotiation,
Yeah,
or
beside having several points, beside the main goal that they want to pass,
So first, you have to believe in it, that you deserve this to get.
Yeah.
You have to, for example, you're applying for a position. You have to believe in it, that you can handle that job. easily and you are overqualified or qualified at least to that position. The confidence, obviously, whenever you go into a negotiation, you must be confident. You must be confident of what you're saying.
True.
Not for example, there are some terms. If you say, I think I can do it, is different than
I
do
feel
that.
or
I do that.
Yeah.
Straight away, that's confidence. So
Okay.
if you sit down with the HR or with anyone trying to get a job, you just say, I do this, I've done that, and I've experienced this. This is my CV. So the HR or whoever is interviewing you, the interviewee, will know that you are confident, you are overqualified that position. And then when you start negotiating with the terms, with the company policy, with the roles and responsibilities, in that point, you know what you're saying. You know how much the counterpart will compromise for you, because they need you more than you need them. So the most important thing in any negotiation, you'd be like, they need me more than I need them. For example, those in terms of work.
True.
But also in sales, you have to sell your product. You have to show them how this product will change their life, or how this product will make their life much easier. If you are confident in your product, obviously, even in the negotiation, you'll be confident. You will think, I have sold that product without giving me the money for it, but I've sold it. So the buyer, what will they think? They will think that I need that product no matter what, because that product will change my life. They will change my
Fulfilling the need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even if you ask for much more than what is like the original price, they might negotiate with you. You come down 100.
There's a psychology strategy behind it always for negotiation, that you gotta be very confident, then you can convince the other party.
Exactly. You go to anywhere. There's a culture in our society. You go ask for something, you want to buy something, even if it's very small. They tell you a price, and then when you start negotiation, the owner will be like, "So sorry, I gave you a price that you don't negotiate. There's no room for negotiation anymore." That's not true.
True.
That's not true at all. If you keep going, and trust me, you can even get it much cheaper than that.
Yes.
It's very interesting in that. So people should understand, even in the negotiation, there's lots of politics. It's not only about parliament. It's not only about the government. It's not about the only officials.
Yeah.
When they negotiate, that means that's politics. But my negotiation with the grocery shopping, when I go with the supermarket, the corner shop, when I go there, they say, I negotiated, yes, but that's not politics. It is politics.
I think mothers would love that episode so much for getting cheaper prices.
Definitely.
So, Kardo, I want to ask you how much awareness our society have regarding politics? How much do you think? At the moment?
Unfortunately, not much. I would say that, because, like we mentioned a couple of points, which is the politics is not parliament, in
True.
that. Also, they don't realize politics. How can they affect your next two generations? One decision in the parliament will make lots of changes in the next generation. You might not feel it. You might just say it's just a bill passed the parliament, but it will affect sometimes. It will affect a lot of people. The next generation, not even you. You might not feel. Some decisions has been made, and then after 2-3 generations, people will realize that was a mistake. We have lots of examples like that, locally, internationally, like even globally. There are lots of decisions. It goes back not only 10-20 years, it goes back like not even decades. It's like 100 years ago they did something, and still people are affecting it. For example, Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Chernobyl affected a lot of lives, and there are still people struggling with that radiation happen. Hiroshima, there are lots of things that changed the whole the history changed.
Demography changed. Everyone got
Yes.
displaced.
Lots of things. For example, one country, they just start a war with another country, and you don't feel it, how much that affects the next generations. That also involves politics.
Yeah.
It's just the conflict of interest between two countries, and they cannot come up with a middle ground between both, and they just decide to a war.
Yeah.
And we have seen it in the history, we see it in today's life, and that will never stop. So our people, they don't, I think, in our society, they don't understand how much politics will affect our daily life. If there is a good decision in today, for example, in education, there is one bill passing the parliament. That bill will make your school better. So your next generation, when they go to school, they will learn even much more than what we have learned in the primary school. Like changing the whole system, not necessarily it's a good thing.
Yeah, we can see, for example, a lot of schools currently, they don't focus at all, for example, on the Kurdish language. Our new generation,
They don't
the
speak
kids, they
Kurdish.
don't speak. She saw it
Yeah.
once.
The kids in our compound, let's say, for example, they all speak English regarding their native languages, and most of them, they don't even understand fully sentence, you know? And it is
I agree.
something.
The problem with the language, why I focused on this, because it's also based on the decision that let's say, someone made, that the system of education changed to English, let's say. When you don't speak Kurdish, you will lose your identity, because Kurdish is not just a language, let's say. It's your history, and it's your brain. How do you think in Kurdish, or do you think in another language or another ethnicity, for example? This is what I observed lately.
Yeah, what do they think when that happened? When the private schools and sectors came to the region, they wanted to give their best. So they're giving better education, they're giving better science. Like you can see the private ones from the local ones, but the language part, it is misused, you know. And when you go back to the government schools and the local ones, they have lack of a lot of things, a lot of tools, desk enough for the amount of students that are in the classroom. So they miss the governmental school from providing their basics, and they over provide for the other sector because they're paying, of course. But at the same time, they took away from them maybe the native language, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And there are lots of things is happening at the moment, that we will see how it will affect even this generation. It's keep affecting it. And one of the things is the building those complexes. It's one of the other things. It's a bit off topic, I know, but it's very related to that.
Yeah.
When you talk about the private schools and the governmental schools, the public schools, it's exactly the same. Your kids, when you grow up a kid in a complex compound, that compound, they will not interact with people outside that compound.
True.
Because that compound, there will be a specific amount of people living, and they might be in the same level of education, same level of knowledge even, and they're not going to interact with other people. Like after they graduated from university, when they go to the workplace, they cannot deal with many other people which they have a different mentality, or they've graduated from different school, different university, because when they were a kid, they were playing with people in the same compound, and that will make that compound, you'd be like, I live in that compound, like a specific compound. But the guys, the families that they live in the opposite compound, they're not very good. They don't know. For example, it's a
Yeah.
trendy thing now. They don't know English.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know they don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm in that with that group. So it goes if you
affects-
talk about it in details, it goes way beyond.
It affects to prevent anyone who lives in this compound, let's say the new generation that's in the school, they will not have the opportunity to become a politician, I believe, because they are lacking of negotiation skills.
Or of the knowledge of how the society actually is out there in the street.
Definitely, they are encapsulated.
Because the majority of people they live outside those compounds, and if you become a politician one day, or if you become an MP, for example, you must know the needs of your society. You
Like
must know
it or
the needs
not,
of the majority of your society. But you want to understand the needs. If you have been isolated in a compound in a very small circle, you will never understand the majority
Definitely.
of the society, like how they think, what they want, and what they really need at this moment.
Yeah.
So پرسیارم هەیە regarding that. چی کێشەیەکی سیاسی خەڵک زۆر سادەی دەکاتەوە؟
زۆر کێشەیە خەڵک لە ئێستادا زۆربەی خەڵک هەموو کێشەکانی سیاسیمان سادە کردیتەوە بەڕاستی. زۆر کێشە هەنا کە ئەگە بیری لێ بکەینەوە لە ئێستادا هەنگی کێشەیەکی وا گەورە نەبێ، بەڵام کێشەیەکی زۆر گەورە دەبێ سەبر. ئەگە بچینەوە تۆزێک بە مێژوودا دابڕۆینەوە، ئێمە وەکو کورد کە باسێکی شەڕێکی ناخۆش فترێکی ناخۆشی شەڕی براکوژی دەکەین کە شتێک بوو هەتا ئەمڕۆ تەئسیری هەیە. ینی ڕنگدانەوەی لەسەر زۆربەی خەڵک هەیە ئێستا بەداخەو کە دەیبینم. ئەوش دەگەڕێنەوە سەر وەمان دەهاتیە شتێک دروست ببێ بەرمانای بۆ شارچێتی.
بالضبط.
ئەمە دەرەنجامی چییە؟ دەرەنجامی ئەو وەختە بووە، ئەم کاتە. بەڵام ئێستا خۆشبەختانە زۆربەی پارتە سیاسەکان بەیەکەوە کار دەکەن بۆ کورد لە بەغدا لە هەموو جیهان. بەڵام خەڵکەکەیە تەئسیری ڕنگدانەوەی هێشتا لەسەر مناڵەکانی خۆشیە، مندارەکانی خەرچی ئەم شارە ئەو هایە، خەرچی ئەم شارە ئەو هاینە، ئێمە باشترین، ئەوان خراپن، ئێمە خراپ نینە، ئەوان خراپەکە بوون. ئەم شتە ئەو ڕنگدانەوەی هەبووە لەسەر مناڵەکانیش. ئێستا مناڵەکان لایەن نەپرسی، زۆر جا منداڵم دیتیە باسی شتی سیاسی دەکات کە منداڵ لەو تەمەنە ئەبێ فکر کاتەوە بچێتە سەرمانگ، ببێتە یانی زۆر خەونی هەبی، ببێتە یاریزان، ببێتەوە یەکەمی دنیا،
شتێک لە کۆمینیتەکەی بۆ شتێک لە کۆمەڵگەی بگۆڕیتن بتوانی بەزەقی کاریگەری لەسەر هەبیتن بە زەبار
ینی تۆزێک زۆر قوڵ چوینە ناوێ بوو. هەر هەتا ئەم ڕۆژ ناتینە وەختێکی ینی کاتێکی برین تاوەی ڕۆی ئێستا ئێمە لە کوردستانێکی نوێینە لە زەمانێک و کاتێکی نوێیە، ئەمە بەسەر دەگەڕێنەوە پاش مناڵەکانی خۆشمان هەروە نەوە لە دوایەوە دێ نەفسی ینی ئاینەن فکرەی داوینە ناو مێشچەن ئەمە ئەو هاینە و شارچێتێکە هەروەمە کە بەڕاستی نابی هەبی. ئەمە لە دوای شارچێتیمان گەیشتینە ناو عەشائیری، لە عەشائیری گەیشتینە ناو بنەماڵی وەمە ئەو بنەماڵە خراپە، دەگەینە ناو گەڕەک لە ناو شارەکانش، گەڕەکی ئێمە و گەڕەکەی فران گەڕەکەی ئەو لای فران گەڕەکە،
عەشیرە ئێمە باشترە لە عەشیرەی خۆت.
بزەوت ینی
ئەوەندە مامە من ئەوەندە مامە
ئەو شتانە تەئسیری هەیە بەزەمە بەڕاستی بە گرنگمان وەرنەگرتێ کە چەند تەئسیری هەیە یەک وشە یەک قسە یان یەک شت بوترێ لە سیاسەکانمانەوە یان لەو تەلڤیزیۆنانە بەڕاستی
بالضبط
زۆر تەئسیری دەبی لەسەر مندارەکانیشمان.
وابزانم هەر ئەو نەوە نوێی ئێستاکە ئەو منداڵە نوێەکان با بڵێن زۆر باشتر با بڵێن ئەو مۆزوعیان سکیپ کردێت زانک و یعنی فەرقی هەیە لەگە پێشتر زۆر زیاتر مەسەن ئەویان هەبوو کوڵێ حەماسەچا هەبوو بەس ئێستاکە هەست دەکەم ئەو جیلی نوێ کە با بڵێن جیلی ئەلفا تاو فەرقی هەیە وەک تا ڕادەکانە من لە کە باسی مۆزوع دەکەم باسی مەسەن منداڵی خوشکەکان و براکان دەکەم لۆ نمونە دەبینم کە هەتا حەدێک توانیتیان خۆیان بپارێزن لەو فکری هەرچەندە مەسەن زەختەی زۆری شێ لە ناو ئاینەکان لە ناو خزمەکان کە باز دەکرێت لە تەلەڤیزیۆن هەر مادە ئەو مۆزوع باز دەکرێت سۆشیال میدیا
خۆی تەلڤیزیۆنە سەبر لە تەلڤیزیۆن لە دەورا پشتەکەی لە داک و باب لە مام خاڵ پور لەوانە هەموو وەردەگری لە ئەو داک و بابەکەی نیکە کوڕەخارەکەی پێی دەرێت کوڕەخارنەوی برادەرەکە ڕەفیقەکە دۆستەکە پێی دەرێت ئەمە منداڵەکانمە بەڕاستی تا گەورە دەبن جیلیمە لە جیلی پێشەمەش کە لەدایک دەبیت چەند ڕق و کینەک دەبیداندرێت لە ناوت ڕق و کینەکان چییە ئەمە کوردین فرانین ئەمە ئەوەینە دوای دەچتە سەر ئەمە کوردین ئەوان عەرەبن دوای دەچینە سەرەوەی عەرەب هەموو جارێ خراپە بەرامبەر ئێمە ئەو شتەکە سیاسیە زیاتر و تاریخیە ینی لەو ڕۆدا ئەمە شتە بەس باسی خۆمان ناکەم بەڕاستی ئەمن کە لە بەغداش بووم زۆر گەنج پیر ئەوانە ناتان برێم گەنجەکان بەس پیرەکان زۆر زیاترن عینەن ڕق هەیە لەستەوە سەر سیاسەتی چەندەها ساڵ پێشستە چیرۆکەکە جێردرایتەوە ئەو چیرۆکە لە مێشکت مایتەوە
ڕاستیش نەویتن
هەندێک جار ڕاستە هەندێک جار ڕاست نییە لە هەندێک ئەگە باسێکی مێژوەکی کورت بکەین ینی چەندە ساڵێک بگەڕێنەوە پاش زۆربەی ڕاستە چکە باب و باپیرانمان تێیدا ژیاون بەدەگە کە دەگەڕێنەوە سەر 6 ساڵ 50 ساڵ پێشتا ینی تۆزێک ینی چیرۆکان دەگۆڕدرێن لەگە و سیاسەتە هەر وەختەی لەو وەختەیەت دەوی ئەو سیاستی کە بەکاردێن چیرۆکی ئەو مێژوەی کە هەیە دەوی بگۆڕدرێن لە بۆ برین مەرامەکی شخصی یان سیاسی یان حزبی دەگەڕێنەوە سەر کە عەرەبەکە ڕقی لەتووە ئەتو ڕق لێ بەزەمە دەبی بزانین لە ئەو ڕقە لە چیەوە پیا دەبی لە منداڵیەوە پیا دەبی
ڕاست
بابمان دانیشتێ عەرەبەکی خراپی دیتە گۆتی خراپ سیاسیەن فێرکرا کە خراپی ئەمن عەرەبەش دەبینم خراپە بەس سەبر جیلی مەوە لۆ خوارش ئەوانە تۆزێک باشترن کە خراپەیە باشەیە لە هەموو دنیاە لە هەموو شتێک پیاوی باش پیاوی خراپ ئافرەتی باش ئافرەتی خراپ لە هەموو تاریخێ لە هەموو چین و توێژەکێ لە هەموو خەڵکی شارێک بی هەیە باش و خراپی هەیە ئەمە بەداخەوە ئەو شتە سیاسیانە زۆر ڕنگدانەوەی هەبووە لەسەر خۆمان و منداڵەکانمان و حتا برم دەتانم بابیش بابوو داکانیشمان هەتا هەدێک
خۆمان ئەو مشکلەمان توش بە ئێستاکە بۆ خۆی خەڵکی مووسڵە ئەمنش خەڵکی لێرەوە
هەر ڕۆژ ئەو شتێک دەبینم
حتا تەرتیبمان کرد ئەو مۆزوعە
خواڵێکتان دەکا شتێکی زۆر باشە ینی تو شەرت نییە خەڵکی ئەم فلان شار بێ ینی خراپی ئەم باشم هەموو سیاسیە بەڕاستی ئەگە بچیەوە بنچینەکەی ڕێگەکە دەچینەوە سەر سیاست.
And that would lead me to you're talking and I'm thinking of a question how racism affected politics or politics affected racism. I don't know how to say it بصراحة.
I'm against racism, to be honest.
I know, but how they affected each other. Like which one is starting the other, you know? Which
I
one
think
is
Regionally
it
and
depends.
enriching the other, you know?
Yes, it depends. It depends on the like the geographic area
let's
of
talk
that.
about here
If
in
we talk about it,
all Iraq.
I think, which I'm against racism, like I said, but in our situation, we need to be. Some people they call it racism, but I call it nationalism.
Okay.
So sometimes it's a very it's a very sensitive thing, which is
Definitely.
it's hard to balance between nationalism and racism. There's a like there's very thin between those two.
Yeah.
There's but most of us they think when you are a nationalist you must be racist. That's not true. You can
True.
still be a nationalist without being racist. You can accept everyone. You can, and you have to accept everyone with their different ethnicity, with different background, lots of ways. But when you accept them, that doesn't mean you're not nationalist. If you speak your own language, that doesn't mean you are racist. So there's it's really hard. I'm against racism to be involved in politics.
But it is, I think. In the region I'm talking, is it?
Uh, I unfortunately you we can give examples that some people are racist because to make a point in their own political vision. Basically, they have done that. But in general, it's us who's deciding on that. It's the society. The society needs to differentiate between nationalist and racism.
So do you think people in parliament they can get so in our parliament, for example, we have people from each city, let's say, or from each kind of people, you know, to represent them. So do they have to be racism to get their people's right, or they just gonna be like, as you said, nationalism?
No, they don't have to be racist, and they're not racist. I'm talking about Kurdistan Parliament.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not racist because at the end, the coexistence in Kurdistan, we should all be proud of. I'll be
Definitely.
True.
honest, like
True.
there's no racism at all. And in the Kurdistan Parliament, there's no racism at all. There's they might be. It's not about nation. They're not nationalist because they're
They're
all
all
in the
Kurds.
same
Yes.
all
Yeah.
Kurds, but different religion, different it depends,
Mm.
different political background, but
Different ethnicities, even we
yeah,
have.
exactly, different ethical group. They all, but I don't see that in Kurdistan Parliament.
What
I
about
see it
in
in Iraqi
Baghdad?
Parliament.
Yeah.
I've seen that,
Okay.
and I've even felt it in the Iraqi Parliament. With all my respect in the MPs who are working at the moment in this term, which I have felt it in that they are becoming too racist just for one sake to get more votes in the next election, and it's not about they're becoming racist to make a change in their group. They're becoming racist to show only on media to show their own people, the voters.
They're using it.
Yes, exactly. This is me. I'm fighting for your rights. I'm fighting for that group. You guys need to vote for me again and again, and that's how they collect votes.
And keep having the shittiest things in the street, and no good life there, no electricity, no buildings, no, you know, not
Yeah.
real work.
Yeah, I believe.
I agree on that, and that goes to the public awareness. So people they are more like well, there's awareness now, but there should be more. Which
Now it's
people
much better awareness wise for the society, but I think they need more.
I think yes, in every democratic countries, like they give the trust to a cabinet, After that, if they haven't met the needs and the promises that they have made, they go and choose. And the one of the things that which needs to be more taken into more consideration in our society is like changing political party. That doesn't mean you've sold your dignity. That doesn't mean you've sold your personality, and people look at you as a small person. You don't make your own decisions.
True.
You keep changing political parties. So that's the whole point of democracy. If you align with a specific political party, you follow them, you vote for them, you wait for results. If there's no results, nothing changed in your life, or the things that you wanted them to change it and promised you, you go and change the political party. You choose an alternative, maybe better than them, maybe they will turn out to be worst. You go back to your original political party, but you try.
But I believe here in the whole region, not just KRI, even in whole Iraq, I believe that there's this thing. They treat politics as religion. I believe like, خلاص, you're Muslim, you cannot change. If you change and come back, we will kill you.
It's kind of like that now, and even it has affected even some people when they change their political parties. Some of their own relatives, they don't even talk to.
Definitely, I'll go.
They don't talk to their family. They say they've sold their dignity. So choosing your political party, it doesn't have to be from your parents, and then it's not a generation thing. Like,
Yes.
you have to stick to that.
Yes.
It's changeable.
So, on this point, what's one political belief that you used to have but changed your mind and changed your mind about it, and you switched, let's say, or did it happen?
It's not about the politics in the parliament and
Not
No,
in, not
it's-
in
it's your life.
parties or
Yeah.
parliament.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, like globally, you're thinking about it, that you believe in something in politics. Oh, this is like this. But then when you went deeper and deeper, you have a lot of experience, I believe. But you changed your mind. You realize something. What is this?
One of the things that I experienced it was when I started working in the office in Baghdad, and I saw the management. But that was before doing my masters in project management, and I thought this is management. The bureaucracy, you go and ask for something, you go and ask for it. It takes like hours and hours to meet someone. That's not management. That's not the right way to manage a specific group that they work for you. So when I did my masters, I had the opportunity to work there in the office, and then I changed my jobs, and at the end I land on a project management role. And one of the good things was one of the projects of that company was in Iraq, and they were working with the Iraqi parliament. So it was an amazing opportunity for me. I knew how the Iraqi parliament works, and I was working with that company that we were providing trainings and guidebooks and manuals to the Iraqi parliament.
Amazing.
It was the best opportunity, and for me to understand even much more and better in the Iraqi parliament. So when we start delivering trainings and that, I noticed a lot of mismanagement in that institution. So I start asking, and I had also the privilege to work with different regional parliaments. We were going and visiting those parliaments in different countries. And then I realized that the mismanagement that we have in the Iraqi parliament, or in most of the institutions, with all my respect for the Iraqi parliament, but with all
MENA region.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of mismanagement, and that made me to think, which is mismanagement in one of the highest ranking of the which political decisions made. This is the highest one, and there's a mismanagement. So that's how I said management should be really, really involved in politics, and politics also vice versa. And it was one of the things that I realized: management, it should be equally working all together. Even now, when I'm working as with spacecraft as a COO, we changed the whole structure. Why would we change the structure? Was based on the environment of that company. We changed that based on to make the company better and with better outcome at the end. So it's when you make a decision, it will be lots of things will be affected in the company. So that's how I realized that management is one of the most important thing in no matter what where you are. And we talked about a little bit of project management, how we discussed it. That's why it's really important.
So, what question do you think or do you wish people asked more about politics?
That's a very interesting and good question for our today's life. How can we solve problems despite our differences?
Yes.
Like if you have a different opinion, I have a different opinion, but maybe our end goal is the same, but our path is different, but we can still solve that problem, and goes back to negotiation. But people needs to know, how can we solve a problem despite our differences, despite our mentality. But we need to solve a problem. There's a problem, we need to find a way. How we can find a way, we need to sit down and talk about it. Which approach will change the problem, and we solve the problem. Which path, maybe different paths, but at the end we need to solve it.
Actual communication.
Exactly. Communication, and you can solve problems even if you have different ways for it. Even in connected back to management, someone tells you we need to do that, you might have a different opinion to reach to that goal of the company. But if you sit down and talk, we might find a middle ground and solve that problem and reach to that goal. Maybe yours, but the most important thing in this kind of situation is like, okay, maybe my approach is wrong. If you reach to that point, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you know better, it's your job, it's your specialty, I'll leave it this for you. But
Yeah.
I'll stick to my specialty and I'll stick to that. This when it comes to that point, you need to in that time, for example, you Darun, you'll be like, okay, I'm not good at this. You make you make the decision for the company, for the whole company, basically. Even in families, let's say,
Yeah.
True.
you guys maybe know that
Yeah.
more than me.
Someday.
I haven't experienced that, but you guys have experienced it. Maybe some of the decisions you guys do it, but
You need
most
to
of the
compromise. You need
Exactly.
to let this
Communicate.
egoistic idea a bit away so you can actually communicate
exactly.
and get to a solution.
So people need to understand
Yeah,
exactly
people
that
need to understand
in
that.
even in our daily life, beside the politics.
True.
What we practice usually, which is recently we understood it, is how we separate the problem between a fight. How we stand against the problem itself, not stand against each other. This is what basically we are experiencing, I believe. And so far, I think it's working.
It is working.
You
It
think it's
has,
working?
it has to.
You think it's working?
It has to work, you know?
No, it's definitely it's communication is the best, and like no one you can never deal with someone that's exactly as like you, unless you go in front of a mirror and talk, and you're trying to solve a
Which
problem.
will tell you your dark side, by the way. It
Yep.
will show you. And this is what happens in our daily life, you know? It's a mirror.
Yeah, but you can never expect someone to have the same mentality, same goal, same way of solving a problem. We all have different ways
True.
to solve the same problem, but I do it in a different way, you do it in a different way. But we need to understand we can still solve the problem together. despite our changes.
I think it's been very pleasant today having you today with
Thank you very
us, and
much.
it's been very, very helpful for the people that are watching, I hope. But if we want to wrap up this whole episode with few words, what would you say to our society today?
Uh, thank you, first of all. Thank you very
Thank
much
you, actually.
for this
Thank you for
opportunity,
yeah.
and especially to be the very first guest
Yes,
at
and more
Ayun
special.
Podcast. Hopefully, the viewers will enjoy the topics that we talked about, and hopefully they will understand something from it. And I'm so sorry if I talked about any institution or anyone, but that's
Just a
that's
general
normal in
opinion.
podcast, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is my opinion, not everybody else. I would say one thing is know that politics is in your everyday life, in like the things that we mentioned, negotiation, and even don't take a decision that the politicians making you think about is just for now. It won't affect me. It will affect you in a way or another. If it's not you, your neighbor. If it's not your neighbor, your generation, your next generation might get affected from passing one bill. And even our MPs should understand that, especially our MPs in Iraqi parliament, uh, which I'm sure they are. I'm pretty positive that's how they decide on passing a bill, but they need to know that they will affect, if they're not affecting them, they will affect thousands and millions of other people in the country.
So that's why it's important for youth to have the awareness and to involve in politics.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely they must, but not necessarily to be very deep, and just to
Definitely.
know
What is
about-
going on at
Yes,
least, so you can
exactly, at least that.
Yeah.
But if you dig much more deep down, you will start analyzing stuff, but you don't need to do that. You just know what's going on around you, what's going on at the moment. It's more than enough for our young generations, and for us, basically. We're still young.
Of course.
And yeah, they should know about what's going on, so based on that they can even shape their future, basically, on making decisions. For example, opening a business, you must make a market research, business study. Even the situation sometimes will get involved. You must know about what's going on in order to make your everyday decisions.
Definitely. Definitely.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you very much.
It was
you.
a pleasure.
It was
And
yes.
guys, don't ask me how did I convince my boss to come and have a podcast.
You're more than welcome, David.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you guys, and see you next episode. We hope you have enjoyed the episode today and got the most benefit of it. Thank you, and see you next week.